Dubai had no oil worth betting on, no rivers, no farmland, no empire, no historical claim to greatness. 50 years ago, this place was a fishing settlement baking on the edge of the Persian Gulf. Today, it looks like a science fiction city. Skyscrapers stabbing the desert, artificial islands visible from space, airports that move more international passengers than entire countries, a skyline that feels less like architecture and more like ambition. Most people assume Dubai got rich because of oil. That assumption is wrong. Oil played a role, but oil did not build Dubai. Dubai built Dubai by doing something far more dangerous. It turned itself into a machine for attracting other people's money, not through ideology, not through democracy, not through conquest. Through ruthless economic pragmatism. Dubai's story isn't a fairy tale, it's a case study in controlled risk. A small ruling family making a long sequence of bets, some reckless, some brilliant inside one of the harshest environments on Earth. To understand how Dubai built an empire from sand, you have to understand what it was trying to escape. Before skyscrapers, before luxury malls, before private islands, Dubai was poor. Not developing country poor, desert poor. Its economy revolved around three fragile pillars: pearl diving, fishing, small-scale trading. Pearl diving was brutal. Men spent months at sea, diving repeatedly without oxygen equipment, risking blindness, paralysis, and death. Entire villages depended on a luxury product bought mostly by wealthy Europeans and Indians. Then, in the early 20th century, cultured pearls were invented in Japan. Natural pearls collapsed in value almost overnight. Dubai's main export became nearly worthless. For most places, that would have been the end. But Dubai had one structural advantage: location. Dubai sits near the midpoint between Europe, Asia, and Africa. For centuries, traders passed through the region, on their way to somewhere else. Dubai's rulers noticed something important. They couldn't compete with big empires militarily. They couldn't compete industrially. But they could compete on one thing: being easier to do business in than everyone else. While neighboring ports imposed heavy taxes and strict controls, Dubai went in the opposite direction. Low tariffs, minimal bureaucracy, open docks. If you wanted to move goods quickly, quietly, and cheaply, Dubai welcomed you. This philosophy hardened into doctrine. Trade first, ideology later. Then, in the 1960s, oil was discovered. But not much. Dubai's oil reserves were modest compared to Abu Dhabi or Saudi Arabia. The leadership understood something critical immediately. Oil would not last. Oil could fund transformation. But oil alone would not sustain a future, so they treated oil like venture capital, not like a permanent income stream. The ruling family made a strategic decision that shaped everything that followed: use oil revenue to build infrastructure that makes Dubai indispensable even after oil declines. Ports, airports, telecommunications, roads, power grids, water desalination. None of these are glamorous, but without them, nothing else exists. While many oil states spent early windfalls on welfare and palaces, Dubai spent on connectivity. They built Port Rashid, then Jebel Ali Port. Jebel Ali would eventually become one of the largest container ports on Earth, not because Dubai had massive domestic trade, but because Dubai wanted to become a global transshipment hub, a place where cargo moves through. Containers from China arrive. They get sorted. They leave for Europe, Africa, South Asia. Dubai didn't need to own the goods. It just needed to touch them. Touching goods generates fees. Fees generate revenue. Revenue compounds. Then came aviation. Dubai had no national airline until 1985. When Emirates was founded, skeptics laughed. Why would a tiny desert city start a global airline? The answer was simple. If Dubai wanted to be a hub, people had to pass through it. Emirates was designed as a connector airline, not focused on domestic routes, not focused on short-haul flights. Long-haul, intercontinental routes. Asia to Europe, Europe to Africa, Australia to the Middle East, America to South Asia. Dubai became a forced waypoint. If you move people, you can sell them hotels. If you sell hotels, you can sell malls. If you sell malls, you can sell real estate. If you sell real estate, you can sell residency. Everything feeds everything. This is the hidden logic of Dubai. It's not one industry, it's a layered stack. Logistics at the base, aviation on top, tourism on top of that, real estate on top of that. Finance and services layered over everything. Dubai doesn't specialize. Dubai orchestrates. Another key decision: free zones. Dubai created special economic zones where foreign companies could operate with 100% foreign ownership, zero corporate tax for decades, full repatriation of profits. Minimal regulation. In most countries, Foreign companies must partner with locals, not in Dubai. Dubai said, "Come, own everything, keep your profits, just operate here." This was radical in the Middle East. Capital responded immediately. Thousands of multinational companies set up regional headquarters in Dubai, not because Dubai had a huge consumer market, but because Dubai offered something rare, a politically stable base in an unstable region. If you wanted to operate in the Middle East, North Africa, and South Asia, Dubai became the safest control room. Dubai didn't become rich by selling products. It became rich by selling access. Access to markets, access to logistics, access to legal structures, access to residency, access to lifestyle. Access is scalable. Oil isn't. This distinction is everything. Now let's talk about governance. Dubai is not a democracy. There is no illusion here. It is an autocratic system, but it is a specific kind. The ruling family governs like corporate management. The legitimacy of the state is tied directly to economic performance. If growth stops, the social contract weakens. So growth is existential. This creates an unusual incentive structure. In many democracies, leaders optimize for short-term popularity. In many dictatorships, leaders optimize for personal survival. Dubai's rulers optimize for national balance sheet expansion, not because they are benevolent, because their power depends on it. That alignment matters. Projects in Dubai move fast. If leadership decides something will happen, it happens. No 5-year permitting process. No endless lawsuits. No local vetoes. Speed attracts capital. Capital hates delay. Dubai sells speed. Of course, speed creates risk. Dubai has made colossal mistakes. The 2008 financial crisis nearly destroyed the city. Property prices collapsed. Mega projects stalled. Debt piled up. Dubai had to be quietly rescued by Abu Dhabi. That moment taught a painful lesson. Speculation without limits leads to fragility. After 2008, Dubai shifted. More regulation, tighter lending standards, stricter oversight. Not perfect, but more disciplined. Dubai didn't abandon its model. It refined it. Another uncomfortable truth. Dubai's system relies heavily on imported labor. The majority of residents are foreigners, from construction workers to engineers to executives. This keeps wages competitive. It also creates a rigid hierarchy. At the bottom, millions of migrant workers doing physically demanding jobs. In the middle, global professionals. At the top, local citizens receiving extensive state benefits. This structure raises serious ethical questions, but economically it produces an extremely flexible labor market. When demand rises, workers arrive. When demand falls, workers leave. The state avoids long-term welfare obligations for non-citizens. That dramatically lowers fiscal pressure. It's a model many countries would consider politically impossible. Dubai built its system without asking for permission. Another crucial factor. Dubai does not pretend to have a national identity based on ideology. It has a national identity based on opportunity. People don't move to Dubai because they love its constitution. They move because it offers money, safety, and upward mobility. That's enough. Dubai's brand is not freedom, it's possibility. Which leads to the core truth. Dubai is not a country in the traditional sense. It is a platform, a giant economic operating system. You plug in capital. You plug in labor. You plug in corporations. Dubai processes them and takes a cut. This is how an empire can be built from sand, not through territory, not through armies, but through positioning. Dubai positioned itself as the middleman for a massive portion of global flows. Goods, people, money, ideas, middlemen get rich. They always have. The difference is that Dubai scaled the middleman role to a planetary level. But this model carries risks, huge risks. Debt, real estate dependency, geopolitical tension, climate stress, water scarcity, rising competition from Saudi Arabia and others trying to copy the model. Dubai's empire is impressive, but it is not invincible. If you want me to continue and break down how Dubai finances itself today, why real estate dominates the economy, what actually happens inside the free zones, and the biggest threats to Dubai's future, start with the same force that built it. Real estate. Dubai is, at its core, a property machine. Skylines are not just aesthetic. They are financial instruments. Every tower is a bond. Every island is collateral. Every master-planned community is a cash flow stream. When you buy property in Dubai, you are not just buying an apartment. You are buying into the city's growth story. This has made real estate one of Dubai's largest economic engines. Developers pre-sell units. Those pre-sales finance construction. Completed buildings generate rental income. Rents support valuations. Rising valuations attract more buyers. It is a self-reinforcing loop. When confidence is high, the machine prints money. When confidence breaks, the the machine seizes. Dubai learned this the hard way in 2008. Speculative flipping collapsed. Prices fell over 50% in some segments. Projects were abandoned. Expatriates left overnight. Banks faced massive exposure. The city did not collapse, but it came close. The recovery taught Dubai a painful lesson. Speculation must be managed, not eliminated, managed. Since then, Dubai introduced higher down payment requirements, stricter mortgage rules, transaction taxes, longer-term residency visas tied to investment. The goal is not to stop speculation. The goal is to slow it. Dubai understands something critical. Its economy cannot afford wild boom and bust cycles. Too much volatility scares away long-term capital. And long-term capital is what Dubai ultimately wants. This brings us to financing. Dubai does not run its empire on oil money. Most of Dubai's government revenue comes from fees, licenses, land sales, service charges, tourism-related taxes, customs duties, corporate activity. Dubai famously had no personal income tax, and for decades, no corporate tax. Recently, a modest corporate tax was introduced, but rates remain low by global standards. Dubai's state acts more like a landlord than a tax collector. It monetizes activity rather than income. If you open a business, you pay registration fees. If you import goods, you pay customs. If you own property, you pay service charges. If you operate in a free zone, you pay licensing. This model scales with volume. More people, more companies, more transactions, more revenue. It also avoids the political friction of income taxation. People tolerate fees more easily than taxes. Psychologically, this matters. Now let's talk about tourism. Dubai turned itself into a spectacle on purpose. Not because rulers love extravagance, but because spectacle attracts attention. Attention attracts visitors. Visitors spend money. Dubai does not sell culture. It sells experience, artificial islands, indoor ski slopes, world's tallest building, world's largest malls, records or marketing. Every world's largest is a free advertisement. Critics mock this, but it works. Dubai receives tens of millions of visitors per year. Many come for a few days. Some return, some buy property, some start companies. Tourism is not just hotel revenue. It is a lead generation funnel for investment. Dubai understands branding better than most countries. It built a brand as the place where impossible projects happen. That brand attracts a certain type of person: entrepreneurs, speculators, risk takers, people comfortable operating in gray zones. Dubai does not try to be morally inspiring. It tries to be commercially irresistible. Now zoom out. Why did this work in Dubai but not in many other places that tried similar strategies? Because Dubai paired openness with control. Open economy, closed politics. This combination is controversial, but it produces speed. There is no national election that can suddenly reverse economic policy. There is no populist wave that can vote to nationalize industries. Investors value this predictability. They may not love the system, but they understand it. Understanding reduces risk. Another key element: Dubai never pretended to be self-sufficient. It accepted dependency. Dependency on foreign labor, dependency on foreign capital, dependency on foreign corporations. Instead of seeing dependency as weakness, Dubai treated it as leverage. If the world needs Dubai, the world has an incentive to keep Dubai stable. That creates a protective shield, not military, economic, which is often more powerful. But this shield has cracks. Dubai's population growth strains infrastructure. Water is produced through energy-intensive desalination. Electricity demand rises every year. Air conditioning is not optional. Climate change makes summers more extreme. Operating costs will increase. Another pressure point: competition. Saudi Arabia is aggressively copying Dubai's model. New free zones, new mega projects, new tourism hubs, new airlines. Saudi Arabia has one thing Dubai lacks: scale. A much larger population, much larger domestic market, much larger oil revenue base. If Saudi Arabia succeeds, Dubai will no longer be unique. Dubai's advantage has always been first mover status, being the original Middle Eastern business hub. Maintaining that position will become harder. Then there is geopolitics. Dubai sits in a volatile region: Iran, Yemen, Israel-Palestine, Red Sea shipping disruptions. Any major regional conflict that interrupts trade routes hurts Dubai. Dubai cannot control this. It can only hedge. Which is why Dubai is constantly diversifying. New sectors, tech startups, crypto hubs, artificial intelligence zones, digital assets regulation. Dubai is trying to position itself as a future financial center for emerging technologies, not because it loves innovation, but because relevance must be renewed. empires that stop adapting decay. Dubai knows this. Perhaps the biggest vulnerability is social. Dubai's population is temporary. Most residents do not plan to retire there. They come, they earn, they leave. This creates an economy that is dynamic, but also rootless. Loyalty is transactional. If a better opportunity appears elsewhere, people move. Dubai must therefore always remain attractive. It cannot afford to stagnate. This creates permanent pressure. Dubai is like a shark. It must keep swimming. If it stops, it sinks. Which brings us to the deeper question. Is Dubai sustainable? The honest answer. Dubai is not sustainable in the traditional sense. It is sustainable in a different sense. It is sustainable as long as global trade exists. Capital seeks neutral hubs. People are willing to move for money. Air travel remains cheap. If any of those pillars collapse, Dubai faces serious trouble. But the same can be said for many modern cities. London, Singapore, Hong Kong, New York, they are all platforms. Dubai simply built its platform faster, more aggressively, with fewer ideological constraints. Dubai's true genius was not building skyscrapers. It was recognizing that in the modern world, power flows through networks, trade networks, financial networks, transportation networks, information networks. Dubai inserted itself into those networks and charged rent. That is how an empire can be built without conquering a single inch of land. Whether Dubai can remain dominant comes down to one brutal question. Can it keep being indispensable? Empires don't collapse when they're poor. They collapse when they're replaceable. Dubai's rise was built on speed. Speed of decision-making, speed of construction, speed of adaptation. But speed creates fragility. When growth becomes the operating system, slowdown feels like failure. Dubai's model assumes momentum. Airplanes landing, containers unloading, developers launching new towers, tourists checking in. If any of these streams slow significantly, the machine feels it immediately. That's the paradox. Dubai's strength is motion. Its vulnerability is dependence on motion. But here's what most critics miss. Dubai is not reckless. It is calculated. Yes, the skyline looks extravagant. Yes, some projects look excessive. But beneath the spectacle lies disciplined orchestration. The government does not allow random sprawl. Mega projects are integrated into logistics corridors. Airports connect to ports. Ports connect to free zones. Free zones connect to financial districts. Financial districts connect to real estate. Everything is layered. Dubai behaves less like a city and more like a corporate conglomerate. Each division supports the others. If tourism slows, logistics continues. If real estate cools, aviation sustains traffic. If aviation softens, finance holds ground. Diversification isn't accidental. It's defensive. Now compare that to many oil states. Some used oil wealth to fund permanent welfare systems. Others invested in prestige projects without revenue logic. Dubai invested in platforms. Platforms generate fees. Fees compound. That distinction separates Dubai from places that remained oil-dependent. Today, oil accounts for a tiny fraction of Dubai's GDP. Most of its economy revolves around trade, transport, real estate, financial services, tourism. This is not a petrostate. It's a services hub built on petroseed capital. That early oil money was the spark, but the engine runs on global flows. And here is where the story becomes more complex. Dubai's governance model is efficient, but it is also centralized. Decisions are concentrated. That produces speed. But it also concentrates risk. If leadership makes a miscalculation, the entire system absorbs it. There is no electoral correction mechanism, no parliamentary gridlock to slow impulsive decisions. The upside is velocity. The downside is exposure. So far, Dubai's leadership has proven pragmatically adaptive. After 2008, it learned restraint. After COVID, it reopened faster than most of the world. During geopolitical tension, it positioned itself as neutral ground. Dubai doesn't preach ideology. It sells convenience. And convenience is powerful. But convenience can be copied. Saudi Arabia is attempting to build competing logistics hubs. Qatar continues expanding aviation. Abu Dhabi is strengthening financial services. Riyadh is aggressively courting multinational headquarters. Dubai's monopoly on regional business friendliness is eroding. That forces Dubai to upgrade constantly. It can't rely on reputation alone. It must innovate its own model, which explains its recent push into digital assets and technology. Dubai positioned itself as a regulatory haven for crypto firms. Why? Because emerging industries need clarity. When other countries hesitate, Dubai moves. It provides rules quickly, sometimes imperfect, but clear. And clarity attracts capital. This is the same playbook it used decades ago with trade. Be the first to offer certainty. Charge for access. However, There is a long-term structural issue that cannot be engineered away. Climate. Dubai is hot, extremely hot. Summer temperatures regularly exceed 45 degrees Celsius. Cooling infrastructure requires massive energy consumption. Desalination requires enormous electricity input. As global temperatures rise, operational costs rise. Sustainability is not just environmental, it is economic. Dubai must invest heavily in energy efficiency and renewable infrastructure to maintain livability. The good news? It has the capital to do so. The question is whether the model remains profitable under higher energy constraints. Another potential fracture is social cohesion. Dubai's population is majority expatriate. That creates flexibility. But it also creates limited attachment. When downturns hit, expatriates leave. Rapid outflows amplify economic shocks. This happened in 2009. It could happen again. Dubai's population stability is not organic. It is economic. As long as opportunity exceeds alternatives, people stay. If that equation reverses, loyalty evaporates. This makes Dubai extremely sensitive to perception. Confidence is oxygen. Without it, flows reverse. And Dubai's economy runs on flows. Now, step back and look at the broader lesson. Dubai did not build an empire from sand by copying Western political models. It did not build it by democratizing. It did not build it by expanding territory. It built it by understanding something about modern capitalism. Geography still matters, but connectivity matters more. Dubai positioned itself at the crossroads of shipping lanes, air corridors, financial flows, regional markets. Then it removed friction. Remove friction and volume increases. Increase volume and fees multiply. Multiply fees and capital accumulates. Accumulate capital and you can build more infrastructure. Build more infrastructure and you attract more volume. It's a loop. Dubai engineered the loop. That's the empire, not soldiers, not colonies, but choke points in global networks. The future of Dubai depends on whether those networks remain centralized. If the world fractures into isolated economic blocks, Dubai's centrality weakens. If globalization continues, even at a slower pace, Dubai remains powerful. So, is Dubai permanent? No empire is permanent. But Dubai is more resilient than critics admit. It is not just spectacle, it is strategy. It is not just sand and glass, it is flow control. Dubai understood earlier than many that in the 21st century, power does not always belong to the largest country. It belongs to the best positioned. Dubai is positioned for now. That is how a small desert city built an empire without conquering anyone. That is how sand became leverage, and that is why the rest of the world keeps passing through.